Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. George Bernard Shaw. Who here feels they could do a bit more to make the world a better place? Okay, I admit that's a loaded question. I'm pretty sure Gandhi and Mother Teresa are two of the only people in history that could have contentedly responded no to that question. But their character would probably compel them to answer, yes, I could do more. Altruism is defined as the practice of selfless concern for the well-being of others. Altruism is the opposite of selfishness. While I don't think of anyone here as selfish, all of us can find more opportunities to positively impact those we love. Today I'm going to break down how you can improve your relationships by building your character one habit at a time. In the end, you'll leave with a roadmap for creating your own personal code of unilateral relationship virtues. And you'll have another tool in your toolbox for creating the person you want to become. Don't worry, it's easier than it sounds. What relationships do you have that can be improved? Take a moment to think about it. Please keep those relationships in mind. My dad recently passed away, and it made me reflect on our relationship. When my mom died in 2006, I realized I had only 5 to 10 years left with my dad. I made a commitment to spend time with him weekly. We went to car races in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, watched every big fight together, and talked frequently on the phone. Gradually, I felt I was becoming the parent and my dad the child. At times, it was frustrating, but there are moments that still bring a wide smile to my face. Several times he called me with the same concern. Matt, you there? I lost my phone. Dad, what are you using to talk to me with? What? Dad, pull the phone away from your ear and look at it. Oh yeah, there it is. You see, that's why I called you, Matt. I'm not getting any younger. I know, Dad. I know. Parenting a parent was not a role I chose, but one I had to fill, and I accepted that responsibility. I feel confident in the man I've become, and I owe much of that to the character my dad helped me develop. What areas of your character would you like to improve? Take a moment to think about how your actions sometimes negatively impact those you love. Please keep those character ideas in mind. My dad had many character flaws, as we all do. What I'm impressed by was his ability to imbue in me character that wasn't a strength for him. I fought often with my sister as a child. We were in constant motion, bickering, scratching, and clawing at each other, verbally and at times physically. I generally felt I was attacked, and I'm sure she felt the same. This could have gone on and on ad infinitum. One day my dad pulled me to the side and said, Matt, you have to be the bigger man. You have to rise up and forget who initiated this fight. Move on. Show that you're stronger and be the bigger man. I listened carefully to his words. Gradually, my behavior started to change. I wasn't perfect and still don't claim to be, but more often than not, I can let things go when conflicts arise. I've cultivated much self-discipline over the years in my mind, in my training, and in my habits. The source was my dad and the lessons he taught me. How do you practically change your character? Character is a nebulous concept, but I like to think of character as an aggregation of habits plus willpower. Character is the willpower that allows you to make more difficult, energy-consuming decisions once you have the right habits in place. Most people see life goals, dreams, and personal improvements as too challenging because they can't visualize what they want, break down the steps to achieve the vision, or consistently apply the effort to take one small step forward. Start by recognizing what you want to improve and creating a vision of your future self, complete with your new habits. These initiatives can be complex, so I encourage you to think like an engineer who's trained to make complex problems simple. Break down the steps to achieve your vision. Each step should have clearly defined criteria for knowing when you're done and a measurable time frame. Then you only need to consistently apply smaller amounts of effort to complete each step. That's engineering, and that's how you change habits. I asked earlier to think about what relationships you'd like to improve and how your character affects those relationships. We're going to pull everything together here by developing a personal code of unilateral relationship virtues, which is a technique I found in a book called Buddha's Brain. It sounds intimidating, but isn't hard to create. Think of this code as how you want to treat the people you love, regardless of how they treat you. This is rising up, being the bigger man or woman, and embracing altruism. There are 2 steps to developing and implementing your code. First, write your code, and second, develop the habit of living your code. First, write your personal code of unilateral relationship virtues. This could be a few words or a list of do's and don'ts. You want to aim for language that is powerful and motivating, that makes sense to your head and touches your heart. Here are a few examples which are beneficial for brainstorming where you want to improve. Listen more, talk less. Say what I need. Be loving. Keep my promises. Second, develop the habit of living your code by visualizing yourself acting according to your code no matter what happens. Imagine the good feelings this will bring you. Then when you do live by your code, take in those good feelings too. This may sound like a lot of work, but I think the steps are very clear instructions for getting started and provide a roadmap for cementing this process. There are printed copies of these steps right here on the center table, which you can get after the speech. It took me just 15 minutes to create my code, and I review it just once a week. I have about 8 points in mind, like fully engage when listening by completely focusing on the other person, not me and how I relate to what they're saying. Ask my wife how her day went. Listen attentively and respond thoughtfully. From creating and reviewing my code, I now notice these statements entering my mind when I'm having conversations with other people, particularly my wife. You can picture the scene after a tired day of work and coaching and training. Instead of eating at the dinner table, we veg out. Her on the couch, and me in my cheap falling apart Target chair, dining on our 10 p.m. feast. My wife, how was your day? Oh, it was an excellent day. We finally finished our beta work and I broke my record for deadlifts. How was your day? Meetings, 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 directing traffic at work, and I didn't get to eat all day. Should I keep paying attention or relax? Remember the code. What do you think I should do? Somewhere my brain stored that last soundbite. There it is. Well, let's break down the issue. And the conversation continues with me fully engaged. You may have generally good relationships. You may be generous with your time and skills. You may have a strong character foundation. But none of us are perfect. And if we have regrets in life, it will likely be due to how our relationships with those we love unfurled. You have a chance to improve things. It takes a bit of humility, a bit of courage, and a bit of altruism. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness." Think about someone you love that you'd like to have treated differently if you knew they'd be gone tomorrow. Take 15 minutes to create your code for them and then create the habit, one day at a time, in your interactions with that person. You will not regret this time well spent. Avoid the darkness. Live in the light. Mr. Toastmaster.